What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tru Element 78 in the building with
the one and only reigning, defending Mondo Lucha Hall of Famer, the X-Man, Xavier Mustafa.
And last but not least, it is me, the natural Chris Black.
and you are tuned into another special edition of Saturday Night Slamcasters. On this episode, we're going to be discussing the Undertaker Last Ride documentary. This was episode 3 entitled End of an Era, and it really and mainly discusses the Undertaker over pretty much the past. Well, the series is covering Undertaker from 2017 up until present. Well, presently he's retired, but you know what I mean. And this episode mainly covered the Saudi Arabia shows that the Undertaker participated in, as well as the WrestleMania where he faced off against John Cena in a 5-minute match after training his ass off for like 12 weeks. So again, we did episode 2, so if you listen to that, you know where it left off. So a heavy portion of this episode revolved them reflecting on the Undertaker's, and it's not even arguable, his best match. The Undertaker's 2 best matches in WWE that he ever had, which were against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 and WrestleMania 26, one being Heaven versus Hell, and the second outing being the Streak versus Career. And
wait a minute. Two things really quick. How you just gonna drop that spoiler at the beginning? We're not at the end yet. We don't know the Undertaker retired yet. Hey, Fabe.
Do you know in this
And
episode?
then how you just gonna skip over John Cena like that?
Hold on.
They booked it that way.
Whoa, James, you sound loud as hell. But how am I breaking kayfabe when this is dropping in September and it was announced that he was retired back in July? Or back in June, should I say?
No, I'm just joking.
Did
But yeah, I don't know. Do you want to talk about the John Cena thing? I mean, it was notable.
There's nothing to talk about. We talked about it on the last episode because he went out there. He said that he trained to have a 40-minute match, and he got out there and he did a 5-minute match. But it did help him get his confidence built back up after having a horrendous match with Roman Reigns the year before. And so he felt good. He felt like he can do more. But like I said, this episode, they flash back to The Undertaker at his peak. Well, yeah, I'll just say peak match. Like I said, his 2 greatest matches against one of his greatest rivals, which is Shawn Michaels. And following those 2 matches and Shawn retiring, they brought Shawn back again for The Undertaker versus Triple H at WrestleMania. And then I actually want that picture that they showed in this episode where it was those 3 standing at the top of the ramp and it was autographed. I would love to have that picture. Because
There's 3 of them.
Because that was literally the end of an era for the most part. But then they jumped to present day where the Undertaker is saying, well, actually, he said this in the Triple H match. He said he had felt better. No. I'm jumping ahead. Let's get to the Super Showdown in Australia. That's when. No, I'm still jumping ahead. Jesus Christ. No, I'm not. I'm not jumping ahead. They started talking about the Undertaker versus Triple H that Vince McMahon announced for the show in Australia. And it was supposed to be the last time ever that you see the Undertaker and Triple H have a match. And he did that match and he said that he felt good, but he didn't feel as good as he did at WrestleMania when he had trained to go against John Cena or whatever, but he felt like he could still go out there and do some work. So not even for some unknown reason, we know why Saudi money speaks. We get to basically what they were building up. This episode was padded, really, because they spent a lot of time talking about Shawn Michaels and Undertaker at WrestleMania 26 and WrestleMania 25. And then they spent a lot of time talking about WrestleMania 27 with Triple H. And I guess they were just trying to establish the history between these individuals, which I felt like Kane kind of got shafted in this episode because they didn't speak too much on the relationship between them. Like Undertaker pretty much said that Triple H and him, it's a mutual respect there, and they can it's not like they call each other every day, but they can talk about anything, and they pretty much have the same mind for the business. And when it comes to Shawn, he says just seeing Shawn grow into the person that he became was great for him to see, from the asshole that he was in the beginning of his career in the WWE, or at least when Undertaker came in, to where he ended up and finding God and changing his life around. And they didn't really, like I said, they didn't really give Kane any shine for any of his matches he had with the Undertaker. But Undertaker did just make the statement that Kane is the one guy, if he had to let somebody hold his wallet, he would trust them with his wallet. Xavier Mustafa, do you trust Chris Black to hold your wallet?
Do I trust him with my wallet or trust him in general?
Trust him with your wallet.
I'll trust him with my wallet.
See, you always trying to bury me on the podcast.
What you mean? Your last name is Black. I was just worried.
This ain't crime time. Oh, too soon?
Yeah, so let's talk about this match that they were building up to, which happened in Saudi Arabia. Oh, actually, yeah, it happened in Saudi Arabia. This was the tag team match where it was Kane and Undertaker taking on Shawn Michaels and Triple H. I did jump over some things, but they jumped over it in the episode. They showed the match where Rusev and Undertaker had their casket match in Saudi Arabia and explained how over he was in that country and how amazing that was. And they also talked about, for a second, his last match in Madison Square Garden and him taking in and absorbing that environment. But like I said, this whole episode was pretty much building to this match in Saudi Arabia. If you guys want to touch on any of those other things, feel free, but I want to focus on this disaster of a match.
I want to make a comment real quick. That whole Rusev random ass casket match, because I don't know if y'all remember that. It was just like, Undertaker Rusev in the casket match, and they're like, why?
Yeah.
But okay, that was in the Barry and Rusev tour that was going on.
Yeah, they showed him, unless I missed it, they showed him for 2 second clip.
Now, that match with the four of them, like, if memory serves me right, wasn't the Undertaker the only person that left not injured? Because I thought almost everybody got injured.
No, not everybody. Nobody got
I don't
injured
think
except for
Shawn
Triple
Michaels
H. Nobody got injured except for Triple H. It was just people's timing was off. People weren't in the places they were supposed to be. Kane and Undertaker dropped. They dropped Shawn Michaels when he took his dive off the top rope. They didn't even catch him at all.
I remember walking into this match thinking I had some big expectations because I thought these four were going to absolutely tear the house down, and shit didn't go right. Like I said, the timing was bad. Everyone kind of had a little bit of ring rust. Triple H and Undertaker both.
I want to give credit where credit is due. Shawn Michaels, having not been in the ring for 8 or 9 years, his timing was better than everybody else in this match who had a match.
Here's my thing with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, since he left the WWE the last time, he always looked like he doesn't give two fucks about anything wrestling related. Like, even in that match, he had the same little sour face, and then as soon as the match started going wrong, you could tell all on his face that he was pissed. That's my thing with Shawn Michaels. That's why I point that out.
But that's also because he pretty much had the Ric Flair. He had the storybook ending. It was like the perfect ending to your career. You come back to this. It's almost like after I retire Xavier Mustafa, he comes back.
Triple H will ask him, like, hey, you want to do this one or this one? Shawn is like, no. But that last match, he probably should have said no to.
It's going to be a hell no going forward for any other one.
Well, Undertaker gave him a lot of praise, saying that he was able to, like, retire and stand on it. And then we had the match. First of all, I don't think I'll ever get used to seeing a bald Shawn Michaels. I don't think I'm going to get used to that. Yeah, I really had high hopes for this match. But, again, shit happens. And like they said, Undertaker, Triple H wrestle once a year. Kane was the mayor. Michaels was out the game for about 8-9 years. So I wasn't expecting a crisp match, but I thought at least they'd be able to, go through the movements enough and tell a good story. And then shit happened.
To me, it just proves that no matter how good you are, you will always have a crappy match. Somewhere, sometime it's gonna happen. You had probably, let me think about it, at least three of probably the greatest superstars of, do I want to say any era?
Damn,
I'm gonna say any era.
Are you about to shit on Kane while not including him?
Well, Kane is Kane. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kane was never really that big superstar like everybody else was. He wasn't that main event guy. You know what I'm saying? He's that good. He's like, like Adam Sandler has that one guy that's in all the movies with him that plays always some random goofy character. Kane is like him. It's like, if you see, yeah, there we go. So, like, that, like, he's going to be solid. He's going to deliver. But at the end of the day, he's not going to have his own movie.
I must have missed the part while I was watching the match. Maybe because I just was getting so disappointed. I must have missed the part where Kane's whole wig came off.
I loved how Triple H described it. He's like, I look over to the corner and I see Kane getting his head knocked off. He said his whole head just fell off.
Then they showed the mask on the ground. Like, I swear it should have played like that. You know when the table doesn't break on Botchamania?
I wish I could just go back and find that. It probably takes some time. Find the Botchamania for that Saudi show. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, the one interesting thing, and it's kind of the struggle when it comes to reviewing these this Undertaker series, is that we've been a podcast for as long as this period is covering, and so we've talked about a lot of these matches already. But it's funny going back and just looking at it again and hearing through the Undertaker's voice all the things that we were voicing at that time. Like, he knew he was too old. He knew he shouldn't have been out there. He was chasing something that seemed like it was getting further and further away from him, which was the perfect retirement. Because what's the perfect retirement for the Undertaker? Like Michelle McCool said, the perfect retirement was when he put that coat down and the boots down and those gloves down. Because no matter how bad that match was with Roman Reigns, people will remember that it wasn't the greatest match, but what they were going to remember more is the ceremony and the visual of Undertaker leaving that ring that night. I think that was a memory that would live on and last longer. One of my biggest disappointments was I was actually planning to go to Survivor Series this year to see an actual Undertaker retirement and entrance and everything like that and experience it. Now it seems the only way I'm going to be able to do that is going to the Hall of Fame when he's inducted.
But do you actually think that's going to stick, or do you really think that, why would he miss the 30th anniversary at SummerSlam?
Because it's no crowd.
I think they're working us. I think he's going to come out as a surprise, and that'll be his swan song.
It's because there's no crowd. If Undertaker were to do anything,
I forgot about that. Damn it, COVID.
Yeah, that's what.
When he even said, like you said earlier, that he complimented Shawn Michaels on going out and staying out. So now this is his time to put up and shut up in that department.
Well, you could say that
Shawn Michaels went out on a much better match.
and
I do want to.
And on the flip side, you can say that, but he had his perfect moment, like I just said, taking off and shedding the Undertaker character in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania. Like I said, it wasn't the greatest match ever, but that was his perfect retirement as far as the ceremony and visual of it and everything like that, and the emotion of the crowd and all of that stuff that is going to be played in the highlight reel. Like when it's all said and done and he does go into the Hall of Fame, I don't even think you're going to see any of these other matches that he's had since then besides the Boneyard match. Like they might rib him a little bit talking about the Saudi Arabia show with Kane, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H that we were just talking about. But I don't think you're going to see those Rusev casket matches. You're not going to see much of the match with Roman Reigns. You're going to see the John Cena highlight and the Boneyard match are going to be the only things from recent history that they probably show.
I do want to point out and tell me where does this rate on the irony scale when Shawn Michaels was talking about Undertaker, quote unquote, chasing the dragon. I was like, that's the part called the kettle black a little bit in.
Well, that's because he comes from experience. He knows what it looks like.
He couldn't relate it to anything else.
Shoot, and it was also just interesting because this was filmed before Edge returned to the ring, and just hearing Edge talking about the Undertaker and the need to retire and finding that perfect moment or whatever. And I think even for Edge, it might have been a little bit more personal. He didn't say this in the interview, but just looking at like, look, Undertaker, you're getting older. I had to retire when I was young.
Not only that, but like Edge didn't have a opportunity back then to have an ending. He just had to kind of call it quits.
Yeah, no, he did have an ending. Edge really had a perfect ending. It came out of nowhere for us, but remember, he won the world title and went out as champion. He retired with the belt. He didn't lose his last match. So if you want to talk about a more perfect ending to a career, it wasn't the time that he chose. But as far as the situation for Edge, it just worked out in his favor, I guess. But just seeing Undertaker out there and like Xavier Mustafa said, or Shawn Michaels said, see the Undertaker chasing the dragon. And it's like, I had to retire when I was young before something catastrophic happened to me, and Undertaker's out here chasing to try and find a match that may never come. Like, I don't even think the Boneyard match was the perfect match for Undertaker to go out on, but the fact that there's no crowd and the Undertaker was all about the pomp and circumstance and like playing to the crowd, it was the perfect time to retire because you don't know when crowds are going to come back. You don't know how it's going to look when crowds come back. You're getting older. You also don't want to go out there and expose yourself to catching anything like Ric Flair when they were still parading him out there during COVID and everything like that. It's like, I'm going to retire now. Like, this business is goofy. And I also think, and this is something that you've heard them talk about, and we hear Jim Cornette opine about a lot or talk about a lot, is that Undertaker is somebody that could be very useful as a trainer for these new big guys that are coming into wrestling because they don't really have anybody that can teach them how to be a big man, and who better to teach them? Like they say, like Paul White, Big Show has tried to work with some people, but Big Show never really worked like a big man. I remember when he said Undertaker pulled him to the side. I think it was Undertaker was like, pulled him to the side and was like, look, what are you doing? Like, why are you bumping for this guy or whatever? Work like a big man. Don't go out there and be doing this and doing that and getting all this offense from other people. Like, work like a big man. And even after that, Big Show.
It might have been Nash.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. I think it was somebody in WCW at the time. But, yeah, Big Show I don't think is the right guy to be teaching people how to work like a big man. But Undertaker is. Especially for the athletic big man of this generation, because he was somebody that was able to do it for 30 years. And I'm not going to say all 30 years were at a high level, but it was at an athletic level up until about 8 years ago.
Plus, he'd tell them when they're doing too much. Like, I'd love to see how Undertaker would kind of mentor Dominik Dijakovic, because he's a big guy who does more than he needs to. Keith Lee does more than he needs to.
Yeah.
I think Undertaker will probably, tell him a little bit more about pacing yourself. And I just randomly listened to an interview with The Undertaker. He was saying a big problem today is these guys just want to keep hitting the same moves over and over and over and over again. And the interviewer, before he said that, had asked him, how do you keep your repertoire so fresh? It's like, he seems like you're the man who's got a whole lot of moves. The Undertaker is like, well, because I've been around for so long, I have to keep changing things up, to a certain degree. So I think he would be a real good mentor to a lot of these big guys to kind of teach them the best way to work as a big dude.
Does he really change up stuff?
Actually,
well, yeah, he gave the example, like, he does the old school, right? And he was like, sometimes he's just like, now he calls it as a cutoff spot a lot of times because the guy can pull him down or whatever, and maybe he'll get it again later on in the match, or maybe you don't get it during that match. He was just saying he didn't use all of the same moves in every match.
And also, you think about it, this is a man who has 3 different finishers, and they're not always, as far as a choke slam, that could be a finisher or a transition move for the Undertaker. But he had the last ride, he had the tombstone, or he could beat you with the choke slam. The ending to an Undertaker match isn't as predictable as a lot of other people's matches because you know when somebody hits the last shot, it's pretty much over. Or maybe they'll have to hit the last shot 3 or 4 different times, but that's all they got. But if Undertaker tombstone somebody, that might not be the end of the match. Maybe he catches him for a powerbomb for the last ride, and that's the end of the match. Or vice versa. Or he choke slams him and he gets the pin. It's all believable because he's beaten people consistently throughout his career with those moves. And even when he started working in submissions like the Hell's Gate and all of those different things, it was like he did keep adding to his repertoire over the years, and especially as he became more limited in his moveset.
I guess I get it. I don't know. I just kept thinking about the old school Snake Eyes.
Well, even think about this. He went from the
those are the core moves.
He went from the flying lariat to when he couldn't necessarily do that and pull it off anymore because of his hip to using the big boot more often.
All right, well, let's talk about his Lazarus pit, if you will. His wife. His wife. Okay, I hate to talk about another man's wife, but she looked absolutely amazing in this episode. And I think she looks, not saying she looked bad when she was in the WWE, but I think she in the best shape of her life. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, and
she's a good motivator for him, too.
I was just about to say that. Like, I think that anybody who would have anything bad to say about Michelle McCool after watching this documentary isn't paying attention or doesn't know what a ride or die is. Like, even her admitting in there that she thinks it's time for him to retire. She expresses it to him all the time, but she doesn't discourage him from his dream. If that's what he wants to do, she's right there by his side. She's training in the gym with him. They're out there getting it done together. It's not like, okay, babe, you go and do that. You see her after the matches riding back to the locker room with him and watching the kids and doing all of that. And I think that that's something that a lot of wives and women need to see, is that, like, let the man be a man. Express how you feel, but don't try to pull them down and don't try to control them.
Even on the independent scene, you got a whole lot of that going on. You get these guys that are on the indie scene, be like a great talent, all of a sudden get a girlfriend, they can't take no bookings no more. Like, what? That's you're not even married to this chick, dude. What is you doing?
Yeah, it is crazy. Like, you know, a woman telling you that you can't wrestle. They don't want you going to shows and doing events, acting like they Suge Knight.
I need to go to the show. I need to hang out in the back with you and the boys. I need to see. And that's how they end up getting done up. They don't realize this. You need to stay at home.
Keep your ass at home.
You come to it. Let me know if I'm lying, Chris Black. Don't that happen 95% of the time?
Somebody gonna get snatched up.
Right. And then the wrestler just wants to get mad at that point. No, you should have your chick at home. I had them sit in the audience.
Sitting with the boo-boo face. Dude,
I'm
definitely ain't naming no names, but I remember that one dinner where the dude who stole the dude's chick, we were all out to eat after a show. That shit was awkward.
But I remember.
TC didn't make it no better, but that's another story for another day.
I remember a story, and I know we're getting off tangent here, but I remember a story where while the guy was in the ring wrestling, the girlfriend was getting done up in the bathroom.
You was at that show with Sonny and Shawn Michaels.
It's a whole lot of Sunday days.
Dude, you working your ass off in the ring, and your girl off giving dome to the next dude.
No, he's working his ass off in the ring. She's getting her ass worked off in the bathroom. But yeah, like, I don't think anybody's taking Undertaker's girl, but yeah, like, after watching this series, I've got to whole new respect for Michelle McCool. Like you said, she does look amazing. I think she's like 42, 43 years old, and she looks better than half of the divas, or not divas, half of the women on the roster, or as good. I'm not even gonna say that. I'm not even gonna downplay or disrespect those women. But she looks just as good as them. Like she could step out there and do it, which she did show at that Royal Rumble pretty much, because nobody really remembers Michelle McCool's career. Let's just keep it a buck. But I'm also proud of her for going out there and doing that in the Royal Rumble, but not trying to come back and hang with these young girls. And like, she'll ride with the Undertaker, but she's like, that's his dream. That's not my dream anymore. Right. Because it would be so easy for her to be like, oh, if he's gonna wrestle, I'm gonna wrestle again. Like kind of like what we saw with Brie Bella. Oh, baby, since you can't do it, I'm gonna go out there and live your dream for you.
I try not to remember that.
And that's not a down, and that's not to really diss Brie, but again, I don't think that was ever really your dream. You were going out there to try to show off, or not to show off, but do it for your husband. So like, baby, if you can't do it, I'll go out there and do it for both of us. And I like I said, I like that Michelle has gotten out of the way of the Undertaker, sometimes to his detriment. But not all the matches that Undertaker had were his own fault either. Like Goldberg, necessarily this match, even though I did kind of give Undertaker the side eye when he said my mind wasn't in that match. He's like, me and Michelle were going through some things and my mind was there. Have you, Chris Black, since you're the only married guy on the podcast, have you ever had any issues going on at the home where you felt like it affected your performance in a match?
Not really, because...
Or a better question would be, what do you do that keeps your head off of your problems at home and snap into what you need to do in that ring?
Because for me, pro wrestling it's an outlet. So the more frustrated I am, it's almost easier to work because life is just a lot simpler in the ring. And you can kind of just forget your problems for those 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, and then deal with them afterwards.
Have you ever lost yourself in your mind space and started taking out those issues on somebody in the ring?
No. Maybe work a little more snug than I usually would. But I'm the type of guy that if I'm giving it to him like that, I expect it back in return. So, hey, sometimes getting the shit beat out of you kind of helps you work out some things.
Right. Who is somebody that you like, that you can get as stiff as you want to in the ring and you guys have no qualms about it, that you like to work?
That would be Mr. Mustafa. Even TC, but I don't think me and TC have had stiff matches like me and Mustafa have. So, yeah, that's the guy I know.
Because the thing about it is, Chris Black knows that he got to hit me because I'm so much bigger than him. So if he comes with some ginger stuff, that's going to make us both look bad. So knock me out. We done did some stuff where afterwards we'd be like, why did we call that? Why did we do that?
Oh, y'all had some y'all had some they live interactions in the ring. Put on the damn glasses.
No. Like you said, like Mustafa was the first guy, like I'll do a super kick or whatever. He'd just be like, I'm just gonna take it on the chin. I'm like, you ain't gonna put your foot up? Nah. Okay.
Let me ask you, Xavier Mustafa, we were talking about Undertaker being more useful as a coach down in NXT or main roster or wherever, just being a coach at the Performance Center. And I like to hear that he actually had the desire on the episode. He expressed that as well. But let me ask you, if you could get coaching from any three, not even just big man, just three mentors that are currently alive, who would be those three that you would choose? And I'll ask Chris Black the same question, but I'm specifically asking you because you're a bigger guy, you're a taller guy, all of those things. So who would be your three guys that if you could just have them mentor you, who would they be?
That's a tough one, but I'm just not saying this just because we're doing an Undertaker episode, but Undertaker is definitely one. I would probably say Triple H will probably be a good second. And a third one, It's between Finley and Regal.
Hmm.
I don't know. I wish if I can have four, I'll take all four of them. If I have to pick, I will probably say Regal,
Okay. Chris Black.
just because I love that style. All three of them are gonna hit hard. All three of them are all about full contact. This ain't gonna look. This ain't gonna be ginger. We gonna go in there. We gonna actually wrestle. We gonna make it look real. We gonna make it look good.
Chris Black. He's writing his down.
Yeah, because I had to really think about this because, all right, I'll just give you my reasons for my picks. Okay, so first one would be Shawn Michaels. For obvious reasons, he's a showstopper. He knows when to do what looks good, what looks bad. I'd like to help a lot. I'd like a lot of help with like psychology from him, and possibly maybe I'm not a real flashy wrestler, so maybe some moves that have a little more flash, some things that suit me that wouldn't make my character look like a fish out of water. Triple H would be my second because he is the game. He has a very good mind for this business, and I just love to work on him from a psychological aspect. And my third one, I really have to think about. But if I wanted a guy to actually help me with some actual move sets, Kurt Angle, because again, I like the technical wrestling.
I know I said Finley as a strong possibility. I gotta add JBL to that too. I know a lot of people hate JBL as a wrestler, but I would want to learn promos from him because that guy's phenomenal at promos and that guy's phenomenal at getting the heat. I don't care what you say.
Yeah. And also, one last thing I want to say about Undertaker becoming a coach down in NXT, and like I said, going down there, or like should I say, like Chris Black said, him going down there and working with the Keith Lees and Dijakovics or whatever. Him expressing that him and Triple H have the same mind for the business, but Triple H being able to work with the guys that are similar to him, and Undertaker being able to work with the guys that are similar to him, but those two having the same mind for the business, in the words of The Undertaker, would be a great combination for the future of NXT. I'm not gonna say.
I agree. I think the biggest problem with that is, though, I don't know how keen he'll be about leaving Texas, because you can tell he a Texas boy all day.
True that. The NXT Texas.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not a bad little drive or a bad little flight either, though, between those two from where he's based in Texas.
That's true, but they're sending Shawn Michaels to the UK, so.
Yeah, but Shawn Michaels probably want to go over there.
We'll see about that.
And I don't think, and full disclosure, since that was just brought up, we don't know right now what the future of NXT UK is. It might have changed by the time you guys hear this.
Right. Be determined.
It might not even be a thing anymore. We're recording this during the middle of the speaking out allegations just coming out about a couple weeks back. So, yeah, full disclosure for that. But good luck NXT UK. Hold on. Actually, good luck UK wrestling scene in general.
Right.
Y'all got some shit going on in y'all country. What's that they always say? Get your fucking house in order. But anyways, you guys got anything else you want to say about the episode 3 of The Undertaker? I'm looking forward to episode 4 because that's where they're going to get into the Goldberg match.
I do want to go on record because I thought about this as I watched the episode today. I'm actually going to go on record and apologize because I have been extremely hard on Triple H, especially at the beginning of this podcast. And as I've started to watch a lot of these documentaries and stuff like that, I was totally wrong about my position on them. So, Triple H, if you happen to listen to this, I'm sorry. But you can hire me to help train people at NXT if you need somebody. I got you, bro.
You know what? The only reason, in my mind, not to get off topic, the only reason why Triple H gets a bad rep is because he protected his character. Not always best for the business, but he was protecting his character. So,
well, yeah, and it's one of those things that you only see everything from the outside, looking in, So you don't know how things really, really went down. Yeah, there's probably some times where he pulled, the little politic game every now and then to make sure that, certain people stayed on top. But overall, I think he is somebody that cares a lot about this business. I think he's a genuine person. I like the way that like he's the young guy, but at the same time he's going and motivating people like Ric Flair and the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and stuff like that. He's the one that got Bruno Sammartino to bury the hatchet with Vince McMahon, and people thought hell was gonna freeze over before that happened.
Well, he also got the Ultimate Warrior to come back.
Probably make a good politician.
And I think he was the person that got Ultimate Warrior, wasn't he? Wasn't he a key part of the Ultimate Warrior?
I just said that.
I think so.
Yeah, he got
so
Ultimate.
He makes things happen.
Yeah, he got Ultimate Warrior to come back and to just knock that right out the window. What Chris Black just said, Triple H would not make a great politician because no, you know what? Judging by the people that are being elected these days, Triple H might be able to get a political position.
I think that dude is just about could finesse anybody at this point.
Even with all the D-Generation X stuff that he had going on, but I would want his campaign to run on the slogan "Suck it."
Oh yeah, I got 2 words for you, and he'd win.
You know what? And I wouldn't even care what party he represented. I'll still vote for him because I feel like it wouldn't be any bullshit.
Yeah,
like I feel all politicians.
Stephanie be the first lady.
Oh, Stephanie.
Hold on. Him sending her on diplomatic missions and her slapping the taste out of people's mouths all around the world.
And then make Vicky Guerrero Secretary of State.
Oh my God! Don't give him. I think we're giving him ideas for a good movie script.
Well, she works for AEW, so that wouldn't happen.
They'd be having a meeting. She'd be like, "Excuse me."
But anyways, so tune in to episode.
I want to see that. I'd watch that movie.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get up out of here. You've been listening to the Saturday Night Slamcast. So go out ahead and give out your social medias.
You can catch me at Xavier Mustafa on Facebook and Twitter. You also can catch me at XM Cinema on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That is my solo podcast that you can find of the same name, XM Cinema. It's going down. Subscribe.
All right. You can catch me at The Natural Chris Black on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter at _natural_CB. Also, take some time to check out my good Lord, my YouTube page. It's got some other content still related to Saturday Night Slamcasters, but some solo stuff.
All right.
How do people find you on YouTube?
The Natural Chris Black. That's the name of the channel.
All right.
And I don't think there's anyone else.
And be sure to give us a thumbs up here on YouTube. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave us comments. We do respond to them if they're constructive. And you can also find us over on Facebook, Saturday Night Slam. Search Saturday Night Slamcasters. You can find me over on Twitter at Slamcaster TE78. Also, be sure to subscribe to our podcast, which is completely different content than what you get over here. It involves more of the current product and reviews and everything. And also be sure to click the link down in the description to join our Discord. It's completely free. It gives you guys the opportunity to interact with us during live pay-per-views and whenever we decide to hop on Discord and have conversations. Sometimes we'll do shows over there, and sometimes we're just in there randomly. We're trying to build a community of passionate wrestling fans without all of the BS you see on a lot of the Facebook groups out there, and arguments and petty and petty shots being thrown at each other. So yeah, so be sure to sign up for our Discord. Like I said, it's free $99. It's the best price. Can't get any cheaper than that unless we're paying you, and that ain't gonna happen. But anyways, check us out. Episode 4 will be dropping in 2 weeks. So without further ado, holla at your boys. We up out of here. Peace. Come get slammed.